Right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please state your name for the jury?
Damian Michael Taylor,
Mr. Taylor, where do you live?
1136 Starmount Drive, West Columbia, South Carolina.
And how long have you lived there for?
About 5 years.
Are we near your home sitting here today?
Close by, I guess.
Where are we right now?
We're in Columbia, South Carolina.
Have you ever been to Marietta, Georgia?
Yes, I have once or twice, once for work.
The time that you went for work, do you remember that date to be August 14th of August 16th of 2014?
Yes.
Why were you in Marietta that day?
For a job, do some work.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a mover.
And were you moving a house in Marietta that day?
Yes.
Were you working with anyone else?
My boss, Ted Giuliano, and the guys that I met there that day, Greg and David.
Let's start with Ted. Where does Ted live?
He resides in Baltimore, Maryland now.
Had you worked with Ted long?
Yes.
What about Greg? Can you tell me what Greg looked like?
He's a black fella. I think he may have had glasses on.
Do you know anything about Greg?
Just that he is a mover. That's it.
Did you know him beforehand? Was he your friend?
No.
Have you talked to him since the day that you worked that job with him?
No.
What about David? What did he look like?
He's a Latin man. Kind of short, I think. Like I said, we only met one time before.
So had you ever met him before that day?
No.
Have you ever talked to this man David since?
No.
So if you guys were the movers, whose house were you moving? Did you know?
Just, customer, shipper. We like to call them in the moving business.
Okay. Was there a woman there at the house that day?
There was.
Do you know her to be Angela Garcia Ferrer?
Yes.
Do you know in this case that Miss Garcia Ferrer says that her dog did not bite Greg?
Yes.
Well, I want you to answer probably the most important question in this case right off the bat. Would you tell the members of the jury whether the dog bit Greg that day?
Yes.
Are you sure of that?
100% positive.
How are you 100% positive?
I witnessed it.
All right, let me take you back to when you first got to the house that day. What time was it?
I believe me and Ted got there around 8, between 8 and 8:30.
When you got there, at some point, did you meet the other movers?
Yes. Yeah, whenever we get to the house, we meet, shake hands and everything, and, go ahead and get ready to go do the walkthrough.
Okay. After you met Greg and David, then what did you do?
We walked up to the house to knock on the door to introduce ourselves.
Did somebody come to the door?
A lady did.
All right. Tell me about what happened when the lady opened the door.
She opened the door to say hello, and she had a dog beside her, like she was holding it by the leash, and she said she'd be out in a second. Give her a second. So me and the other guys went back out.
When she opened the door, was the dog doing anything?
He was barking, just seemed excited.
Was that the first time that you had heard barking that morning?
We heard the barking when we were walking up to the door.
At some point, did the woman come outside and bring any dogs with her?
She did. She brought two dogs with her.
Where were you standing when she brought the dogs out?
Standing just, I'd say, out in the yard to the right side of the house, I believe.
Were you standing alone, or was anybody else with you?
The other fellows were with me.
How were you all standing?
Like a moon shape, I guess you would say, like a semicircle.
And did she do anything when she came out of the house?
She just came out and, you know, she was just, you know, she had the dogs on the leash, and she just walked out there and started talking with us.
When she walked out, how were the dogs behaving?
Just excited, I guess.
What does excited mean? What were they actually doing?
One of them was barking, and the other one, he was kind of like just, I don't know, panting and like playful. I guess you would say playful.
So the two dogs were acting differently?
Yes.
The dog that was barking, did it do anything else?
He just seemed to he seemed angered, and he's jumping, like trying to get away from his owner.
Did the dog seem to you to jump at anyone in particular?
He did. He seemed to be jumping at Greg.
Where was Greg standing in relationship to where you were?
To my right, Ted was standing on my right, and then on the right side of him was Greg.
After the dog jumped at Greg, what did the woman do?
She said that, you know, they're usually not like this, and that if, you know, you got a chance to meet, you know, if they got a chance to meet us, that, you know, they would calm down and everything would be fine.
Let me back up 1 second, something I forgot to ask you. Why wasn't the dog able to get to Greg when it lunged at him?
She was holding it by a leash.
And after she said that the dogs wanted to meet everyone, did she do anything with the dogs then?
She let go of the leash. Not, how do I explain it? She just let go of the lever.
I see you using your hand almost like it's a trigger. Can you describe what you're doing with your hand?
The only way I could describe it is it's like a leash that has that gives tension or whatnot to let the dog be able to go farther, you know, and to stop it.
Does it have a handle with maybe a plastic case around it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, a handle, and then at the top, I think would be the button, lever, whatever you want to call it.
After the woman released the tension on the leash, what happened?
The dog went over towards Mr. Greg, and he just like jumped up towards him, and it's like he snapped at him and bit him on his, I think, his right leg.
And is that the leg that I just saw you rubbing? Almost like that's the leg where Greg got bit on your own body?
Yes.
What did Greg do when he got bit?
Seemed, I mean, he yelled and, you know, kind of jumped back, and everybody did actually. And he was just holding his leg, and, you know, he seemed to be, you know, upset, obviously.
What's the woman doing while the dog was biting Greg?
Just trying to pull the dog back and, you know, hold the other one at the same time. And she was real frantic, and she was crying and apologizing and pulling the dog all at the same time.
At some point, did the dog stop biting Greg?
Yes, he actually, you know, pushed the dog away with his leg and moved back, and she finally got control of him.
Once she got control of the dogs, what did she do with them?
She took him to where I believe to be the back patio, where I think she had some kennels, and that's where they remained for the remainder of the day.
When the dog released Greg, could you see any wounds on Greg?
I could see blood from his knee, around his knee area, just like a puncture wound maybe.
Did Greg do anything to try and stop the bleeding?
I think he wrapped it up maybe. I think he may have used a work shirt or something like that, but he did wrap his leg up.
Did the woman ever come back outside to talk with y'all?
Yeah, she did after that, after she got the dogs put up.
Do you remember hearing her offer Greg a Band-Aid?
I can't remember exactly if she offered him anything. I know that she was crying and saying, "I'm sorry," and all this.
When the lady came outside, did she say anything to anybody?
Yes, she was apologizing and crying and saying that she's sorry, that, you know, this has never happened before, and, you know, that was actually throughout the whole day she kept doing that. Like I said, real hysterical and frantic and just upset.
At some point, did you guys start to do the job and move her into the house?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't start right away, you know, we, you know, kind of let everything, you know, calm down and, you know, made sure that everybody was good, and we started the job.
Where did you go to do work? Were you assigned to a specific kind of area?
I stayed on the trailer. Me and Ted worked the trailer, and just downloaded everything and brought it to the driveway.
So you and Ted were on the truck, taking the belongings from the truck and putting them in the driveway?
Yes.
Where was David when y'all actually started working? What did he do?
We assigned him to work the house.
Okay, and what did he do inside the house for work?
Just distributed the belongings.
And that leaves Greg. What was Greg doing?
He was actually our runner that day.
What does that mean if somebody's a runner?
That just takes the items from where I put them down, drop them to the front of the house, and let them be dispersed.
How would Greg get whatever item it was from where you left it to David?
A hand truck or a dolly.
What's a dolly, in case someone doesn't know? How would you describe it?
It's got two wheels, and it's got a handle at the top, so you could stack boxes, and, you know, it makes it simpler. You know, you could get a lot more on, and you know, to get it to the house.
Okay. Did you ever see Greg go up into the truck that day?
Not to my knowledge. I don't remember seeing him on a truck. It was just me and Ted.
Did you ever see Greg go upstairs into the second or third floor, whatever the house had?
No, not to my knowledge. He just stayed outside during the day. We thought that'd be best.
Mr. Taylor, I thank you for your time. I have no